All right, ladies and gentlemen, Game Doctor here with Animal. Well, what do you think about the game? Well, Animal, checking it out, getting a lot of buzz right now. Jumping into it. So what you get in short is this kind of like room-based, or some people are saying Metroidvania, whatever you want to call it, room-based little puzzler game. So you're doing these little platforming puzzles and using the gadgets they give you to solve these puzzles and kind of traverse and go through the game here. The game kind of doesn't have a tutorial or any onboarding. It's kind of like you just figure it out as you go, and it works out beautifully here. Honestly, you'll get like a gadget, and then you're gonna play with the gadget and be like, oh cool, let me figure out what it does. It's not gonna like hold your hand, but it doesn't need to, as long as you know I could find where the jump button is by yourself and the use button. I mean, it's, you know, you'll be okay. And they want you to experiment, and I think that's great. It's a really fun game, I guess. So in the end, you know, when you look at the game, you definitely have to be into its aesthetics and stylization. Here, I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think I love the stylization. To me, I think that's a big part of what you're paying for, is like how beautiful it is. It's done and it feels. So again, if you're somebody looking at it and you're like, I don't vibe with the art and the style and stuff, I think the game is going to lose like 80% of its charm. I think that's a lot of it. You really have to be sold on that. And that being said, again, I think it's beautiful. But I do think that like that world carries the game, because in the end, I think like every year we get these kind of like puzzler platformer kind of games, or puzzler vanias, whatever you want to call it, puzzler like kind of games where, you know, you solve puzzles, but other puzzles can't be solved till later or whatever. Like, we get those every now and then. So I don't think it's like doing anything revolutionary here, but that being said, what it does do, it does well. What it does do, it does well. And I'll explain a little bit. So you get these like little gadgets to help you solve puzzles. So for instance, I was waiting for the game to give me like a double jump, but it doesn't give me a double jump, right? It gave me a bubble wand where I can create one bubble and then jump on it and then jump on something else, right? And I like that it didn't just give me that typical stuff that I was expecting, and gave me like a toy that was more interesting. The last thing that we found, it was like a part where, again, we've seen these puzzles before. It's like, oh, you have to hit this switch, but you also have to hit that switch. We've seen this a million times if you play a lot of games, right? So I'm like, okay, at some point they're gonna give us some kind of block we can put down. Well, what does the game give me? It gives me a slinky. So then I can use this slinky to like roll onto buttons, or like put on a button. But not only that, like the slinky can like go down steps. You can like time it and stuff like that. Again, what it does and what normal games would do, it gives you something a little bit smarter. Now, when I say people think I have like a very high expectations of games, it's not true. I actually have a very low expectation. I just want people to like try a little bit. If you're gonna take an idea and you want to do something 90% familiar and it's all the same, cool, but just try to make it a little bit better, or just take away things that were wrong with that idea or wrong with how they did it in the past and make it a little bit better. You know, fix a little bit of the problems. Don't adopt those as well. So I want to say that I recommend Animal Well, because it does that. It's taking these things that I would normally seen, but just giving it to me a little bit better, right? But in a very beautiful package. And that's kind of like what it does, right? Like the push 2 button puzzle to get in, open the door and stuff like that. Like, so I also want to add to that like a lot of the puzzles that we've seen, they're not like, you're not going to feel like a genius so far. Now, I heard that there is late game, you can get and find puzzles that are really, really crazy. Cool. I'm blanketing a little bit, right? I'm not saying there's no puzzles that are going to make you feel like a genius, but I'm just saying all the puzzles that we went through so far, they're very like going through it, and going through it is fun, but it's not like, oh my God, you're a genius for figuring this out. They're just like typical platform puzzles so far. What else? Yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much to say. I think the gadgets are really fun and they feel really good, and I think the game gets huge points for that. There is some little things, again, giving it a bunch of praise here, and it's really good. It's $25 if you're into these puzzles and you like the aesthetics. It's really dope. I do have some issues with it. I think the save system is pretty horrid. I think it's probably the worst part of the game, actually. They have this save system where there's just random save points and you go and save, and that's kind of that. But the problem is you can go around and like do all of these puzzles and like go through this time and I do these, you know, jumping puzzles, do like 6 rooms and then die or forget to save, either one, and then you have to do it again. you just get punished with like having to do the same crap again. And it's really annoying sometimes, and it happened a couple times already. So God forbid you do a bunch of stuff and forget to save for whatever reason. You get punished with tedium. It like breaks one of my design rules. So I think it's pretty annoying. Even if they're gonna have that save thing, I wish there was like a quick save thing that like it did after, you know, a series of rooms or something. Like I don't think there's anything to gain from the save system, so it's more to lose. A couple times I was just very annoyed, and I was like, cool, I solved this stuff, but I literally just forgot to save and went to the next part, and then it was like, oh, guess what, shame on you, you shouldn't have forgot. And it's like, well, what do you have to gain there? It's more to lose, right? I think that's the weakest part of the game. There's also a part where like a lot of Metroidvanias now, and again, I don't play a lot of them because they all follow the same issues. I have no problem with Metroidvania. I have a problem with how we do Metroidvanias. They're like, oh, remember this part later because you need to come back when you have double jump or a gadget. And again, here's not double jump, it's better than that, but I'm just making a point that like it's just turning into a memory game. So a lot of games nowadays are starting to come up with clever ways to like do something about that, right? Like take a snapshot and put a picture here to remind yourself. This game has a stamp thing. But you have to like find that room, because again, this game is not on rails, so you have to find that room and you'll get like a stamp thing. The stamp thing is adorable. Why don't they just give that to you as like your first upgrade? Or something, like put it on the main path because it's a big part of the game. Otherwise, again, you're just punishing somebody for their memory. Why do so many games do that? I feel like I say this a lot, right? We're making an action game, but then there's a lot of memory stuff. We're making a fighter game. Oh, it's a memory game. We're making everything revolves around memory. It's like every game now revolving around math, right? Let's make a deck builder. Well, it's also a math game now. Balatro, it's also a math game. Oh, but I don't want it to be a math game. Sorry, it's a math game. Like it doesn't matter what you want, right? I want $1 million. So it's just getting plugged back into reality. I wish some of this stuff was just reorganized, because it's not like, yeah, I don't know. There's like, again, and these are very minor. It's not to say that the game is bad or anything like that. The game is really good. It's not like anything revolutionary. If you miss out on it or you don't play it, it's like, cool, you just missed the puzzle game. And that's what I want to say. Again, people are comparing it to like Rain World. It's not Rain World. Rain World is like kind of like revolutionary. It does something that no other game has ever done, and it's going to influence games to come. It's not, all right? This is a little puzzler game. But what it does, again, it does well. So as long as you have the money, it's a bit expensive and it's a shorter game, but you like these puzzle games and you want something that feels really good, then I do recommend. So I'm going to give it a Game Doctor approve. Definitely check it out. Yeah.